Hi, everybody. Welcome to Cal Poly. We're talking all things Cal Poly athletics. I'm Chris Sylvester. I'll be sitting down with Don Oberhelman, Director of Athletics here at Cal Poly, and we'll be doing a State of the Union, if you want to call it that, checking in on all things Cal Poly athletics, looking back to what the 23-24 athletic year has brought us and what's ahead in the future for Cal Poly athletics. Don, appreciate you taking some time. Can you believe where we are in the calendar as far as 23-24 goes? Feels like just yesterday we were kicking off the soccer and football seasons at Mustang Memorial Field.
The year just flew by. It's crazy how fast it goes. So this fall we had some amazing performances, both individual student athletes and then teams, to the point we're in first place in the Big West Commissioners Cup. It's been an unbelievable ride. Our men's soccer program under first-year head coach Ogie Kennedy made a huge step forward. Women's soccer always competes for the Big West title, and this year was no exception. And then sweeping the Big West cross-country championships obviously was a huge deal for our first-year head coach in Ryan Van Hoy. So very excited about what transpired this fall. Football, I think, took a step forward. We're poised, I think, to take another huge step forward with a great recruiting class that's come in. So I couldn't be more excited about the future of all of those fall sports.
Yeah, we think about the beginning, and we do think about football. We do think about soccer, and that's kind of where I want to start. And we're going to get into a multitude of topics here. We're going to talk about your national search for a new men's basketball coach here at Cal Poly and why that decision was made right now for this program moving forward. But when you look back at the fall, and it's a 3.16 fall GPA for all those sports,
yeah.
And you mentioned the success that women's soccer had really the last 2 years. I mean, they've been right on the cusp of postseason play, and the Irvine team that's beaten them has gone on to do some really big things in the NCAA tournament. But everybody wants to know about football and the progress that's being made at Mustang Memorial Field, not only with the Madden Center, but other things that are getting added there. I know you guys are constantly looking to upgrade the game day experience, and part of that is putting a winning product on the field. So you mentioned the step forward for football in 2023. What's another realistic step forward in 2024 for not only football, but for some of these other sports that take place in the fall as well?
For sure. Progress obviously is winning. You know, we want that success, but it's also a little bit of a slower build at an academic university such as ours in terms of your culture. You can't just bring in the so-called hired guns, if you will, that come in for a year and whatnot. For us, we want to make sure our core is always going to be those high school seniors coming to Cal Poly that want to be here and get that Cal Poly degree. So the culture of how they do that, I think, is really important. So it does take a little bit of time. But I think what I've seen with football, first off, the construction we have going on down there, anybody that's driven by has seen, we've got stuff going on both end zones. We have the new concessions area. We're going to call it a beer garden for now until we come up with a better name, but it's going to be fantastic on the north side. Then obviously the John Madden Football Center is something that we're continuing to work towards. Construction, the make-ready work on the site's begun. We do have some fundraising work we do have to do still on that project, but President Armstrong has green-lit it so we can go ahead and begin. We're a little bit behind where we wanted to be, but we do want it to be open for the 25 season at this point. And I think that's a realistic opportunity.
Volleyball had another terrific season, top 3 in the Big West for an 8th straight year, 20-plus wins for the 4th time in 6 years. And we mentioned women's soccer, 9th Big West championship appearance. That's tied for the most all-time in the history of the Big West. And obviously Alex Crozier has been here since Cal Poly joined the Big West and since the inception almost into Division I. So when you look back at the fall, what stood out to you the most from the teams this season?
I think the consistency of being at the top of the conference probably sticks out. And you just mentioned it, volleyball, top 3rd, soccer, women's soccer, top 3rd, men's soccer, almost there. And I think in another year we'll get there. And of course, cross country is just doing what they do every year, which is win championships. So we always really do well in our fall sports here at Cal Poly with just the coaches that we've got, the type of students we recruit. In those sports, we just seem to fare very, very well in our conference. And once we get men's soccer back up into that top 3rd, it is my hope that we set a bar in those Commissioner Cup standings that nobody can catch us even after the fall. And we've been in first place a few times after the fall, and then we tend to lose that lead to Long Beach State and others. I'd like to get it so big that they can't catch us, and then obviously our spring sports are going to have to do their jobs, which is continue to compete at the very highest level of this conference.
Well, I think Big West Commissioners Cup, it shows the versatility of athletics here at Cal Poly. It's not just one or two powerhouse sports. It's a collective effort. And here in the winter, and it's hard to call it winter because it's 65 and sunny outside right now, but John Cerritos continues to just do an absolutely phenomenal job with the wrestling program. And you think about the situation he took over, right? Winless in his first season, and then slowly but surely, brick by brick, he's able to build that program. There's a lot of proud alumni that have been so happy to see the wrestling program make its resurgence. What's the future of wrestling with the Pac-12 up in question right now?
You know, it's very much, I think with the success that we've had, I don't see our conference affiliation having a huge impact on our progression in terms of how we just continue to build and develop this program. We do have some options that we're engaging with right now, and we got some things to figure out. We've got one more year in the Pac-12 conference after this year that we will all still be competing together. Obviously, we were the defending Pac-12 champions this year, which has not happened in our history, and I think that speaks volumes about the job Coach Cerritos and his staff has done here.
In that same breath, women's basketball, another winter sport that has exceeded a lot of expectations. Maybe not so much internally, because I think we all knew after what we saw from Chanel Stiers and company year one that we could expect a realistic leap into maybe the top half of the conference, and that's happening. Right now, 2 games left in the regular season. Cal Poly women's basketball in the driver's seat for a top 4 seed, and the Big West has put a little more flavor on the regular season with the top 2 teams getting buys into the semis and the top 3 and 4 teams getting buys into the quarterfinal round. She obviously had a long background as a Division I assistant here and had a lot of success up in Hayward at Cal State East Bay. How pleased are you with the progress of that program and just the ability 2 years removed from being at the bottom of the conference to, flirting with maybe not a conference championship, but certainly being a scary team to see in the upcoming conference tournament?
Yeah, I can't say enough about what she's meant, I think, to our program, just in terms of, I go back to the cultural identity. She had to change that a little bit. We've had great success here in women's basketball. I think that got forgotten the last couple of years.
Sure.
That we've won multiple Big West championships in the last decade here. Chanel had to come in and hit the reset button on some things, but the most important thing, I think, was making sure the team has her identity, which is one of toughness. We're going to play very hard all the time, high energy, high motor. And I remember I talked to her at the start of the year, and we did talk about what does success look like? And we talked about what's top half of the conference, I think in year 2 would be a pretty amazing feat. And if you somehow get in the top 4 with the new tournament format, we get a bye, that'd be an unbelievable achievement if we could do that. And to your point, we're on the cusp of doing just that with a week left to play, with 2 more games left. That's well within our grasp at this point. So I couldn't be more pleased. I think the young women in our program are having they've got a wonderful opportunity here to play and compete, but they've put in the work. So I also give those student athletes a lot of credit, and that many of the students that are having great success on the court right now were not recruited by Coach Stiers. So she has taken this team, changed their identity a little bit, changed how they play, and I think those that come out to Mott Athletic Center this week and see us play on Thursday, we'll see a team, and that's a huge game for us against UC Irvine on Thursday, in terms of what the seeding is going to look like. I think they're going to find it highly entertaining, a whole lot of fun, and they're going to see a group of young women that genuinely love each other. They love their coach, and they love being able to wear Cal Poly on their chest.
She's such a great leader on and off the floor, and I just love the way that program has just created a positive buzz surrounding, and we saw it with the attendance last week when Santa Barbara was here. That was a great environment for Big West women's basketball, and you look attendance-wise, we're right up at the top in women's basketball. And look, despite a year that you hadn't hoped for in men's basketball, and a decision that, quite honestly, you hadn't hoped for coming into the season, you still got good attendance in men's basketball. But I know that this fan base is starving for some winning basketball on the men's side. How do you get back there? What are you looking for this time around? And why was now the time to make a change to try and get back to the top of the conference?
So I think I'll answer the last question first. Now being the time, we really needed a little bit of a runway here for us to conduct the search. Coach Smith understood that, understood what we were trying to accomplish with going ahead and making the announcement now. I've never been somebody that's going to do a search while we have a sitting head coach. who doesn't know what's going to happen. So I had to be honest and with that, and to Coach Smith's credit, he is the gentleman we all know he is, handled it with the grace and dignity that you would expect. So I adore him. We made some great progress on some fronts. We just did not make the progress on the court that we needed. So what's next is going to be somebody who understands what the academic rigors are like here, because it is different. And we always talk about it being different, but it is a fact. And it is something that we have to acknowledge, that you can't, as a Division I basketball coach, you can't go to just the basketball showcase in LA and just pick guys, right? You see somebody that just jumps out at you, I need to talk to them. Well, what's his GPA? You know, we have to ask those questions, and a lot of schools do not ask those same questions. And that is something that actually I appreciate. And I think our next head coach will also want to appreciate, in that, one, it eliminates a lot of recruits. You don't have to cast the net quite so wide to get what you're looking for. We do have some blueprints in our conference at some other pretty good academic universities like UC Davis. I view Jim Less as an excellent basketball coach. He's built a nice program up there. They're in the top third of the conference a lot of times, maybe not every year, but a lot of the years. And I think that is where I would like to be, is ultimately let's be in the top third of this conference every single season. And if you can do that with 2 weeks left in the season, you've still got something to play for. We're still competing for a championship with 4 games left. That's what I want for our men's basketball program. Our community will support this. You know, we've seen the attendance at men's basketball this year. It's still been high. I think we're 4th in the conference in attendance.
Right up there, yeah.
It's impressive to me, and that's, most of our peer institutions don't have that kind of an opportunity to draw those kind of crowds. So I do think if we put some wins on the board, San Luis Obispo and the whole Central Coast is going to be really behind this program. We've seen it in football. Our attendance was really high this year because people see hope. They see hope for what's going to be. They see the progress. We need to see that for basketball, and I think once they do, they're going to fill this place just like they have been for football.
Next thing I want to get into, and maybe the last thing we hit here, is just the resounding success that your student athletes have had in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, wins and losses are important. We care at Cal Poly. We want to win championships. We want to hang banners. We want to celebrate. We want people to get really excited about this being San Luis Obispo's team. Your student athletes have as much, if not better, success than other students here on campus.
So this may not resonate with every fan, but it is the single most important thing that we do here, right? We're about providing a lifelong degree to our student athletes that's going to serve them and their families for their entire life. Cal Poly can do that better than just about any other university out there. I think the experience that we provide, along with the academic pedigree of this amazing university, gives them this opportunity. So I love seeing the numbers when we outperform our peers around the country, and then our own student body is probably the most important comparison I think we have. So when we're recruiting a student and we say, we believe academics come first, every school in America will say that. We actually mean it here. And I tell every single recruit that comes in that same thing. We actually mean it here. Academics absolutely comes first. And I think the numbers dictate that. So our GPA is a 3.16, which is equivalent to the campus. So our GPA is the exact same as the rest of the student body. However, our graduation rate is 92%, which is a absolutely remarkable number. I can't be more proud of a 92% graduation rate with our student athletes, which is outpacing that of the campus. Anybody out there should hire a Cal Poly student athlete, because they completely understand time management better than probably any other student in America about what it takes to compete here at the Division I level and also be at a world-class university. Those are hard things. And I'm so pleased with what we're doing there. The students should take all the credit in the world. We've got an amazing support system here in place. The coaches are obviously recruiting the right type of student, not just student athlete. And I just think there's so much praise to go around for those numbers. And I know President Armstrong and the rest of the campus is delighted with those numbers as well.
Don Oberhelman, appreciate you doing this, my friend.
Thanks, Chris. Good to see you.
We're going to try to do more of these, probably another one to come after the athletic year wraps up. But as always, CP Mustangs on social media and GoPoly.com for the latest. Go Mustangs, and thanks for tuning in.